Hello.
Words to live by.
There's some great quotes from like the days when I started streaming and was doing like Dwarf Fortress and stuff.
Oh.
There's a lot of the first quotes are just weird obscureness. Anyway, hey, my internet decided to just completely die. Just stop. But we're back. You know, you get knocked down, but you get up again. Barut will never be kept down until one day.
Stalked by a hornet.
The giant kaiju hornet.
When that happens,
Ollie, judging by the character swap thing.
Oh no! I was
Yeah.
I was so worried
They
about
look
the
at
internet
false.
being back that I didn't think about it. Okay, give me a
This is great.
give me.
I'll just get real angry and stuff.
I'm Viking.
Get angry and punch.
So, where I think my internet died is that you actually got a safe place to stay in that cave.
We're just saying what happens in the night.
The
Yes.
gold.
What happens in the night?
Gold.
Oh, and the gold.
Yeah, you grab chunk of gold.
Sure, why not?
Gold ore.
Yeah. Much less valuable.
Much less valuable. What
Don't tell Virik that.
happens in the night?
I'm just gonna use it as like a paperweight or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty in its own way. What happens in the night is that looking out of this little cave where you're actually camped quite securely, but you have someone, sitting at the edge of it. You see those fiery orbs kind of scouting above you, scouting the road. They do not notice your presence at all.
Hide under a tree root as it goes over.
All right. So, I'm having a bad hair day today. You wake up in the next morn. What's the plan? Brute, you lose an exhaustion. You actually notice today the mists aren't quite as bad, and when you kind of get off out of the cave, you can see north in the distance exactly where the road leads. As the sort of light is bright in the mornings, you first think that that's just like a big rise in the mountains, but as it your eyes acclimatize a little bit more, you see that it's a castle city sort of built into the mountain spire. You can't really see the details right now, but that's Mount Birth. You can see it quite clearly now before you're gonna get there today. So
Do we go straight to the town or the castle?
Those things are still watching the roads, so if we go, we should be stealthy about it if we can.
That's worrying if they're watching the roads out
I
here already.
fear they may be occupying the city, or
That's
nearby
what
the city. I don't know, Baruid, what the situation is there.
If that was a siege engine, if it was a good one, by now they.
It's funny. You look, and Tobias actually sees a red flash on the east side of what you now realize is the wall. Every 15 seconds, and then stopping.
They might still be at it. At least that's what it looks like from here. So perhaps they're not too late.
how far of a trek is it from here? Like how many days approximately?
Days? Less than one.
We will get there, yeah.
Get there like
Where if you stealth, you'll get there by the end of today. If you don't, you'll get there by early afternoon. If you rush, you get there even faster. But rushing on top of the mountain is very dangerous.
I'm not
We
rushing.
did that,
At
it's
one
bad.
point of exhaustion still. That is an ability check made for failure there.
Try and
No.
run and just immediately slip off the mountain.
Yeah, no, just what if it's meant to be today, it's meant to be. But I hope it isn't. I think
are we gonna try and stop that siege engine, or are we just gonna try and get in the city? Because I don't know if we can stop that siege engine.
I mean,
In
The siege engine is noticeably, down the mountainside. Or at least where the light's coming from.
Oh, so it's a ranged siege engine.
Yeah, you realize from how far away you saw it, it's pretty fucking far away from the
They're
city.
firing something at
It's
the city.
and from here you just see the collision.
Fuck.
so
We can.
answer your question, we're going to go to the city to figure out what their plan is to deal with that siege engine. And if they
Yeah.
don't have one, we're going to get what information they have, and we're going to come up with a plan.
Yeah, that's probably a better idea.
Question is, are you going to stealth or not?
I was just about to bring that up in character.
How dare you?
Roleplay?
sorry.
That's not what this game is about.
If we get there around sunset, I can get us onto the wall, or at least I can get on top of the wall. A good idea to go stealthily towards the city. Might take us a little bit, but hopefully we'll get there around sunset.
I
But
agree.
that's also assuming that we don't want to get there faster. Because
It's a matter of whether they'll let us in.
we're not giants.
True, but you.
Good. Some of that brain damage is starting to clear off.
Look, they're not the most welcoming people.
Yeah, that.
In the case of a siege, they're more likely to be letting us in if there isn't a war going on right outside of their gates, so that they can have more bodies to fight. We look like able-bodied. Well, you two look like able-bodied fighters right now.
Okay, so, what's the consensus? Do we go quick? Not too quick. Looking over a brute, but quick.
Manageable pace. But those orbs, what are we doing about them?
We can do what we did yesterday, and I can try to stealth ahead and warn you if they're on the road.
Can you? The other option is, can you help us get through not the road quicker, and we can stay off the road?
That's also a good option.
I think that might be our best bet. I would prefer to stay on the road, given that being off the road is what sent me off the side of a mountain earlier. But nevertheless,
There's a reason why there's a road.
yes. Nevertheless, I trust you to find a good path.
I'll find you the best path I can, buddy.
Roll a survival check.
I will tell you,
No, that
the
was
best path you could find me is the road. Find me the next best path, please. I've already found that one. That's
Point.
pretty good.
You choose that with the siege engine clearly on the east side of the mountain to travel further on the west, away from the road. This is actually where more of the water streams are sort of trickling from the higher points of the mountain. So more often you have to, sort of duck through little waterfalls and go over little, rivers that have formed. Very briefly. Brute is moving much better today. I imagine he still probably has the walking stick because honestly, he's
He likes
attachable. Yeah, exactly. It's like, wow, this is amazing. Why haven't I been doing this for years?
Why do
Yeah.
mountain elves not do this all the time? Brute's
Pride.
the inventor of the walking stick for his
Pride.
culture. Yeah.
But you travel quite well. I won't say quickly because you're not traveling on the road, but you never get attacked by anything there. You eventually crest back up when you reach Mount Birth itself. Right there in front of you is a small city. I mean, it's actually quite comparable in size, you imagine, to Palmora, where it's actually quite a big community, but not really the infrastructure of a big city or anything like that. naturally formed to the mountain. There's these big walls that you can see are made out of large stone blocks that are actually painted with a sort of zigzaggy kind of pattern. Some of it is paint, some of it is the actual stone used in construction. There's a lot of artistry. The buildings in the town are around one central castle, but it's not like any sort of castle you would have seen before. All the buildings in this civilization are made of stone, and they kind of have this like kind of topped cone effect to them. Where the top appears to be slightly defensible positions. At some, at a glance, you're like, oh, is there like metal fencing at the top? No, that's guards up there on the top. But too far away for you to properly see. There is a gate here, as you approach, and an area which maybe hundreds or thousands of years ago was used for trade. This area on top of the mountain has not changed for thousands of years. This is just sort of it's all in a status quo, which is why this siege happening is so mind-boggling, So it hasn't been used for trade for a long time, but what it is being used for right now, I mean, you could be mistaken for that, because right now, the gate is still closed, but there is a selection of clearly mountain elf tents out in this space, particularly on the west side. They are very rough-made tents. They're quite clearly, they're treated, but they don't make any attempts to make it not look like the animal that the hides have been taken from. Some of them even still have, bone designs and things to them. And you see some mountain elves there who are kind of watching and waiting with weapons. And that's when you hear it before you see it. This boom of this explosion of fire against the east wall. And then a flash of blue on the wall that kind of almost like arcs around the wall. And then another explosion of fire and that arcing again, and it goes... and then pauses again. And you see the elves and the people atop the wall where you're closest to kind of secure themselves for it, as if they freaking know this is coming at this point. And they're worried about it. But it seems to do no damage at all. And it's a big fucking explosion of fire.
My skull is shaking.
That was very loud.
Very unpleasant. Oh.
So they're not letting anyone in, are they? They're strict to
Probably
the...
not. Probably not. Well,
Let's at least go talk to them.
time for you to meet my people. A little bit more.
It's funny you say that, because at that point, one of the mountain elves will actually come up to you. The thing about...
Do I need the mask? Do I, quickly. Do I need the mask?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, good.
The thing about mountain elves is that their garb and appearance and their equipment is still clearly elven. It has swooping shapes that come to points, and a fine degree of engraving and detailing, and their outfits are pointed and placed. But there's a tribal nature to their equipment. Again, the hides are not treated in ways to no longer look like hides. Their gear is made out of bone, mostly. Bone, hide, occasionally parts of metal, but they don't, there have been a few blacksmiths. There's like one mountain elf blacksmith at a time who trains the next one. So metal is important and is used quite rarely, where everything else is stone, bone, and hide. But you get the impression that just because of the quality of elven work, this armor is not to be joked at. The person who comes up close has the armor that appears to be mostly made of some kind of insectoid chitin. And will approach warily, kind of looking from where you came from, with a sword in one hand and a shield in the other. The shield is, again, made of chitin and bone, and actually has an antlered skull of a deer or stag-like creature on it. And looks over and in Elvish has a saying used quite often by mountain elves, which is friend or foe. Already
In
expecting
Elvish.
the answer.
Yeah, in Elvish, I'll respond and say, "Friend, and how goes the hunt today?"
The hunt here is slow. And then he gives you a long look.
He's still quite beaten up.
Do I recognize this elf by any chance?
You might recognize his face from someone you've seen before. There's a lot of people who sort of take a warrior's path. You taking a cleric's path and manifesting magic is more noticeable. It's more memorable. You know, in Jarviskjir, most priests do not manifest magic. It is either ritualistic or, does not fucking happen. So he gives
I'm
you a
actually
long
gonna-
look.
Grab the hilt of my sword as well, on the wrapped leather around my hilt, and I'm going to cast lore keeping on it, but just to light up my eyes and just say, "We've come to help."
Are you here to assist the priest?
Partially, to assist whoever we can.
He is the one in most dire need. Please. And he will he gives, he turns, kind of looks at Tobias and Virik, and he does linger on Virik, because being a drow, of course, not many people know what a drow is, but you just look different than a normal elf. You imagine, if you were a high elf, you would have gotten the same look.
Yep.
And we'll move towards the largest tent in this little war camp. As you come up to it, you smell the herbs that are used in the healing up here. Blue Lady doesn't grow very well up this close in the mountain. You have your own rarer, more hardy healing herbs that are actually ingested in smoke. So there's a kind of smokiness to this tent where it's all meant to be encapsulated, but it kind of seeps from around the edges. And this has, again, it actually is not built into the top of the tent, but has been placed on top of the tent, the skull and antlers of a dire stag. And you actually remember when this was killed, because it was a big deal. And when he will simply open the flap of the tent for you and motion in. As you step inside, you see your old master, Ilatan Farlel, laying on a very simple bed, very simple bedroll, alive. It takes you moments to see the rising and falling of his chest. But the way he's laying, with his sword and shield to his chest, it looks as if he is been lain to rest. There is a mountain elf woman, young, but not very young, seemingly in her first century, maybe halfway through, leaning over him slightly. She's in a bit of meditation, her arms crossed, her hands by her side. She is wearing this garb that is the furs and hide of an albino griffin, which immediately is very impressive. But a lot of mountain elves wear very impressive clothing. It's just impressive in its own ways. And right now the hood is actually over her head, so it makes her look a bit like this. It kind of looks like an owlbear, aside from much thinner, as she's kind of resting there in a trance. But she witnesses you. You can kind of just feel the presence of an elf in trance. But she doesn't say anything as you step inside.
I'm gonna kneel down beside my old master, and I want to just do a quick medicine check. Just to
Please
see what's
do.
going on. Yeah. Oh, I should have rolled that at disadvantage. My bad. One moment. Let me.
I'll actually allow that because I was going to give you advantage anyway.
Okie dokie. Cool. Then in that case, 26.
26 is really good. He has no wounds. He is an old elf. As you said before, mountain elves don't live very long. Compared to elves. They usually live to around 250. Which is funny, because most elves consider, you're an adult when you're around 200, but that's not how mountain elves see it, because... and also it's kind of much more flexible for all the elves, because maturity and mental aptitude and stuff like that. And he's around 500, so he's double the age of most mountain elves, partly because of a security in his existence, partly in that he's a cleric of healing, partly in that he mostly stays aside and heals and teaches how to heal and manifest this kind of magic. He is showing that age, though. His skin has grayed, as mountain elves do as they age, similar to Otto. His hair is kept more short, though, because he does live here. But he has no outer wounds. But he is exhausted. Mentally, physically. He's in a coma. And there's a divine magic about him. You actually see a slight wispy blue magic in the smoke. The magic of your faith is this kind of light ethereal blue. And that kind of wisps off him a little bit. And then you feel the rumbling of the explosion outside, and that magic actually flares up, just like it did on the walls. And it's as they are there and examining all of that, the mountain elf woman will speak up, kind of pulling her hood down, revealing a young, youthful face that has clearly seen some troubles. Her hair is cut short aside from one long braid, and she's wearing a circlet that is made of silver that has sort of an antler design coming off of it. You immediately pick up that she is, like you, trained by him to be a cleric, most likely to be his replacement because you left. The timeline would make sense.
Yeah.
Mountain elves train their successor. Rarely does their successor leave. Actually, quite often they leave. It just kind of messes everything up. And she says, he did it to himself. It is a ritual of fortification. As he rests, the wall of Mount Birth will not break.
But it will kill him eventually.
He cannot eat, he cannot take water, he will succumb to nature's embrace, and then the wall will fall.
Do you know how to perform the same ritual?
I fear I may be too selfish to complete it.
Do you know how to help someone else complete it?
You're the one who left. Are you not?
I'm not the one who left. I am one of many who left.
I do not mean to lace my words with insults. She actually will stand up. She's quite short. Mountain elves are actually the shortest of the elves, but she's like noticeably a little shorter than most. And kind of looks over these two and then back to you. Can they understand us?
Yes.
Very well. I have no secrets from the brothers of my brothers. And she does just kind of pause, clearly troubled by all of this. There is just a lingering elven silence in the room.
But Tobias and I are just like awkwardly
Kind of like the smoke. There's like a dense smoke in this room. that smells. It's got a medicine-y smell to it.
Just break the silence with like a like. So,
If you can help me to complete the ritual myself and give him reprieve so that he may eat and drink and come back to try again, I would gladly take that exhaustion on for some time.
She gives you a low, long nod. I fear this is not the words he would want me to say, but I do not think that defense is the best offense. I do not know who you are, but you walk in here, all three of you armored, quite clearly, people from a strange land. And I heard of my predecessor who left to travel the world to learn about others. Sent off with a limited blessing.
Is that what they're calling it now?
He spoke fondly of you. I don't think he wanted everyone to hate you for leaving.
No, but he can't control what other people think.
He would if he could.
Oh, I know he would. One of his faults. Controlling. In a good way. In a way that cares, but still.
And he would want me to complete this ritual for you, but tell me, are you fighters?
You know, if you'd asked me that when I left, I would have said no. Not even a little bit. I'm a historian, an anthropologist. Study of culture. With what I have been through and with what these, my brothers, have helped me through, yes, we are fighters.
The engine of metal and fire that the flame giants wield against the wall must be destroyed. They first attacked with men, with giants. That proved useless against the right of fortification. I believe these giants will stop at nothing. And when they realize that he is what is fortifying this, that they will come for us. And we will not be able to face them if they come en masse. They are giants from under the mountain. This defense is not an offense.
No. Why is this defense not allowed inside of the city?
We are allowed inside of the city. But it is not our place to be there. It would not work if he was inside his own ring. And
the damn fool always created things that just couldn't protect him as well. He never wanted to protect himself as well. I'm sorry. My frustration is something that I shouldn't be showing not now.
I think we're all frustrated. We have come here to save people who would never have done the same for us, and we will bear the losses much worse than them. In truth, they have been the most welcome to us than they ever have before because they need our help. And unfortunately, they do need our help, and we will help them. But I ask for your help. My name is Papyra. Eleanor.
Papyra Eleanor. Uruit Benarin.
She'll take your hand in both of hers and shake it.
What do you know about the giant siege engine? If anything.
The old mothers would speak that the mountain was formed by molten rock resting time and time again to form the mountains. The siege engine uses that very rock ablazoned with fire, brought from the giant's own realm under the mountain. It is near the entrance to their place. We have sent some scouts. It is devilishly hot. And I know that it is not their only form of attack. I have been told, as I am more or less in charge of us mountain elves out here, that there are a few secret underground entrances to the mountain that the giants also seek. I do not know why the giants want to be inside the city so badly, but they are trying to break the wall, and they are not suffering at all. The Phoenix Bloods, the men of the mountain, have delivered losses, but it is 10 men to 1 giant. Their magic is holy and it burns, but they cannot be burnt. And she actually will hold out her hands, and a sort of blue that turns into a very bright white forms between her hands. It's a very much more offensive kind of magic from your faith than you're used to others seeing, but you actually manifest as well. In your guiding bolt and things like that. She kind of manifests that, her fingers shaking a little bit of it. She's clearly not, probably not as strong as you, but she's still got a strength. It's like, I cannot burn them either. They are ceaseless, because they can be ceaseless.
I'm just going to shoot Brute a look when she says the I don't know why they're trying to get in the city so hard, with my theory that I gave him earlier, hopefully.
Bruit doesn't react at all to your look, even though he knows exactly what you're hinting at, because he doesn't think it's a good idea to talk about yet at this point.
Oh, yeah, that's all he's going to do. He's just...
Yeah. And Bruit is just going to say, all right, so they want inside this city. They want inside the mountain. They want control over this area. They will stop at nothing to get it, unless they're stopped. The only thing it takes for evil to succeed is for the good to stand by and do nothing. So,
Can people leave the barrier that he's put up?
The barrier is not physical, as you might say, but there is only one gate to the mountain. The Phoenix Bloods have sent men down. They are better suited to being atop of the walls. They are warriors, less capable. Pride, a sin. That is what they would tell me.
they defend their home. They do that from inside the walls. That is where they are strongest. That is where their specialty lies.
We are strongest outside of the walls. This arrangement suits us perfectly, aside from our grandest conduit to our god is laying motionless before us.
What I was going to suggest is I can make a small, very small, complement of troops stealthy with us. I can help us get close. At least harder to see, harder to detect.
How many men can you move?
About anything within 30 feet of me, as long as I can keep them within that.
To be fair, depending on what precisely the plan is, you may not need to make myself, for instance, more subtle. Apparent. A distraction of sorts, if you will.
That's a good point.
Ollie, question for you. Giants. Legends of giants doing treaties. How did they occur?
History Checkerino.
And I'm also just going to pop this just to make sure I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure it's...
Oh, it's rough. No idea.
You actually don't know much about fire giants.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just says each creature you choose within 30 feet.
It could have been one of those things where it's like up to 5 creatures, but no, it's 30 feet.
Yeah.
You don't know much about fire giants. You didn't even know that there were fire giants under the mountain.
Yeah.
You know that there are stone giants, but they are a kind of compassionate group who would leave you alone if you left them alone.
Would they have...
There would be stories of stone giants making agreements with your people. Absolutely.
Yeah. And in terms of that, how do they greet?
That's a good question. That will be actually a separate history roll.
Okay.
Because that's kind of a different topic, absolutely.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm still rolling with disadvantage, but, 10 is not as bad as it was last
You've
time.
been told to never go to where stone giants have been, because they greet by throwing rocks. You don't know why, but, the old mothers who teach knowledge to the young speak that the giants of stone see the world differently, and that we scare them more than they scare us. It's very much like, spiders or mice. So they literally will throw things, and they have a throwing arm at them. I imagine you maybe even have seen, a giant throwing rocks before off the top of the mountain. So it's possible for them, and you heard from the Nebbling that the stone giants guard the entrances to the fire giants' fortress. So partly...
All right. I have a terrible idea.
Those are the best kind.
Yep, let's hear it.
I am going to go and greet in an attempt to treaties while you bring your
That
detachment
is a
around.
terrible idea.
Do not do that where the siege engine lies.
No.
If you can find a giant somewhere else, an entrance to their domain, perhaps?
If we go into their domain, well, there is just as much of a chance of us coming out as us dealing with that siege engine. But perhaps that would be a good place to bring a detachment of troops.
Why don't Virik and I go scout it out first? The two of us will be nigh invisible to them.
It's a good idea.
It is a similar area. The fire giants bring molten rock from their domain. It would be possible to scout both locations. And then, if your magic willing, I may be able to lend an ear of a few of our bonded warriors.
Okay. Tobias, shall we go with scouting?
Happen to bring the blacksmith with you?
That's really funny.
He is here, but he does not have his equipment. It is too heavy
Yes.
for a yak to bring all this way.
Yes, of course.
But he is here, hammer and yelling. And all.
We're gonna just dump out the remains of Barut's armor.
She jumps at like the very sudden loud noise in what's been a very quiet conversation. She's clearly very on edge.
Apologies. That's my armor. It has seen better days, let's say.
There was a rock and a cliff, and it was bad.
It's all
A
one
black-
really bad day.
A black stag walks into my domain. Well then, she might just cast a spell on you if I can find one that's relevant. Give me a sec.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
A good one! Not a bad one. She's a cleric. She's just not a super strong one.
She's also not an evil cleric that we know of.
No, but that I thought the episode...
Well, technically not. You know what she can cast on you? And she will. Yeah, she'll get you two married.
I was just going to say, let's get married.
No, it doesn't last long. It doesn't last long enough. I was thinking maybe protection from evil or good, but it wouldn't last you long enough to like actually get anywhere. So she won't. She will just say a very detailed elven blessing to the great stag, and wish you a very genuine luck. Beyond that, it's a very mountain elf thing to be like, yeah, no, the blessing of our god is not enough. You also need luck.
Yeah.
Luck and skill.
Our god is a very fine bloke who doesn't really help that much.
Look,
And you at least understand it and are okay with it.
we always ask for luck, and we've gotten this far with none of it. So if he wants to throw some luck our way now, by all means. But if not, I think we'll be okay.
Okay, so you two want to stealth down there? Stealth down there. What is Brute gonna do during?
Has it been enough time for me to take another long rest?
Yes, but you don't know if they'll be gone that long, and if they are coming back quickly, you don't want to be asleep. The chances of them running back to you with giants in tow is like 50%.
Yeah.
So
I understand that. I have faith.
I'm gonna give you one of the Rocky Talkies.
Yeah. That's the smart choice. I'm just gonna put that under my pillow and I'm gonna nap, and if you guys are coming back, just shout at me.
Let's go, we got those.
So I'm gonna take a long rest, and if I get interrupted, then I guess it'll just be a short rest. But
Yeah, and then I'll have the other side.
crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, Yep. Okay, and I'm gonna do this when we get there, of course. When we get within like an hour's.
Well, you don't know when within an hour. Actually, you can see the siege engine's light.
Yeah.
Okay, stealth rolls, bitches. Get sneaky up in here.
Let's get sneaky.
I'm really hoping I have long enough to get rid of this last point of exhaustion.
Hey,
not gonna
that's
happen.
a 30.
It's a dream.
Hey,
30 and
that's
29. No, that's really good. So, like I said, once you start going down the east side of the mountain, it's actually relatively clear once you start getting down there where the siege engine is. You actually see it fire only once, but once you see it, it's on a plateaued area quite a bit far down the mountain. It's actually grassy. As you get closer to it and start, you two are both ballsy ass motherfuckers. You probably slide down chunks of the mountain, and then like quietly stop. And you can actually stop on a ledge that overlooks this like plateaued area. And what you see is this large, probably 20-foot long cannon. It's all made of obsidian and metal. It has sort of like black spokes that wrap around the barrel and kind of point in dramatic spikes. And it kind of spins slightly, this churning, spinning, as a fire giant beside it, picks up like There's this molten pile of slag and magma, kind of scoops its big hands in, just pours a glob into the barrel that just starts spinning and churning and lights up all down the cannon. It actually has wheels that are just deeply inset into the dirt at this point. But this is a fire giant you see beside it. It's the only fire giant you see, but it is a big creature. You fought ogres recently, and a fire giant is double the height of an ogre. It's probably around 20 feet. Its skin tone is kind of a bluish. It's kind of when you see sort of a bluish stone. It's kind of that sort of color, a dark, nearly navy blue. The armor it's wearing is finely crafted. With a metal helmet and chainmail, and each chainmail loop could easily be like an armlet or something. And it seems to have like these series of glass vision apparatuses so that it can kind of aim. It kind of motions to a group of neblings, the giant subservient goblins, who are pulling and twisting the side of it. They're the pushing brunt force. He's just kind of loading and moving it. But it really shows the strength of a giant that there's only one here watching the engine. And the large sword that is just in the dirt. I mean, that sword is 10 feet long and a chunk of it is in the dirt.
Oh dear.
That's not good for the blade, right, Tobias?
It's not good for the blade.
Yeah. I'm just cringing the whole time, like it's gonna be so blunt, my guy. But I mean, with a sword that big, it's kind of irrelevant.
And like the giant, like the longer you look, the giant is like almost bored. He's chewing on something. He loads up the fire and it shoots. And what it shoots is like this beam of magma. You've never seen it clearly, but it's like this beam of magma that crashes into the side of the mountain up above. And he just kind of like... And then barks in giant at the neblings, who kind of snivel and keep working to operate it. And they're kind of like pumping bellows on the back of it. And this big, ugly machine, to people who don't respect machinery and have had far too much of it in your adventures already.
What?
Should-
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just like, do I see any sort of mechanism that might be able to be at least damaged or jammed?
You can give me an intelligence check for that.
That's all you.
I know, yeah.
Oh, that was almost an 18.
You see 4 neblings, each operating a part that seems to make this device function. Other than that, this isn't like the clockwork beings of Grim. You know, you can't see parts that could be broken or busted. The device could be smashed and broken apart, though. Sure, it's made of metal and obsidian, but there are bellows on it. There are gas bags and things. Just a raw output of damage could damage it. AKA, you can just attack it like any other monster. But you can't take it apart. You have to break it. What you could quite easily remove is the wheels, which would help you in no way at all.
Yeah, unless we like knocked it down the mountain somehow after removing the wheels.
But at that point, I mean, looking, there's one giant there. 2 giants could probably pick this up. It's not that big compared to the giant. It's about as long as the giant is tall, but like it probably 2 giants that are strong could pick this thing up and carry it around.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Hip fire gun.
Maybe. I mean, it does, when it fires, the whole thing, like, rocks back in the dirt.
Like,
It would
it's
probably knock him off the
artillery.
mountain. It's
Oh,
an
yeah,
actual fire-shooting artillery cannon.
One
Okay,
thing I'd
well-
like to do, and you can tell me whether or not we're close enough for this to happen, but I want to try to get close enough to use my hunter sense.
Hunter thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not being a monk of the Cobalt Soul, but it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, the one that tells me their resistances and immunities. I'm assuming fire, but
Yeah,
I'm
let me
more-
just look.
my-
I
radiant.
have a battle mat. I just don't remember what I called it.
yeah.
So I have to find it. It's not an elven library. It's not Shareth.
I wish.
It's not this. It's not this. Where is it? Where's the battle map? Can you find it? There it is. Giant Siege.
Well done.
See, here's the trick. It's a rocky mountainside, but the picture Roll20 chose is the grass. The little bit of grass, they chose to do it. So, the sort of edge that you're sitting on is 40 feet up from the plateau. With that in mind, the giant is around about 100 feet from you. So what's the range on your ability?
I believe it's 60.
Damn.
Is there a way for me to get closer without just walking out in an open area?
You could slide and try and hide in the rocks closer. You'd have to get down onto that plateau to get close enough. But
Okay.
it's rocky, he's not very paying attention. You would have to give me another...
I have an idea. Oh,
Roll,
no, it'll
but-
break. No, it'll break our pass without trace if I do that.
Yeah, you have passed without trace, but you would have to give me another stealth roll to get closer.
I will do so.
Please do.
That's
Fuck.
a
I mean, it is a 19,
19.
which honestly is pretty
Thankfully, I
good.
did not.
But
break-
unlike the 29s, I do have to roll, and there's actually quite a few creatures here. There's 4 Neblings, who I'm pretty sure don't have a good perception modifier. And I should know that off the top of my head, because I homebrewed the monster, but I don't. I don't know. I don't remember any of my shit. If you play like a homebrew Ollie class, I'm like, you can do what now? What? Who let you do that? I did. Alright.
It was me.
Ooh, it's close, but the giant doesn't see you. Though immediately, you actually get enough time to use your ability because that's nearly instant. So what does it tell you? The vulnerabilities, resistances, and stuff? Oh no.
Oh.
So, you do slide down there, and your ability is like instant to use, right?
Yeah.
So you want to know the vulnerabilities and resistances and things? What else can you find out? Is it that just it?
That's it.
Guess what? They're immune to fire.
I figured.
That's it. But as you slide down there, the giant doesn't notice. The Neblings, one of them does. One of them who's pushing the sort of wheel goes, "Ha! The human down here!" And kind of sniffs heavily, and the giant is like, kind of looking around, doesn't see you, but does go and pluck the big sword out of the ground and sling it onto his shoulder and kind of move, like stepping over the pile of molten metal, looking around for you. The Nebling will skitter forward on Knuckles, and at this point, it's going to be over to a battle map. But
We run. We run.
if you want to run, tell me now.
I do, but there's something I want to do first.
Oh, fuck.
In which case, we're going to battle map it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's me right now. This is Virix just like over the ledge, just like.
Yeah. Tobias is like, hold on a second. I'm finally going to make use of an item that I purchased like 50 sessions ago. You're muted, Will.
He's just yelling.
I have the best idea.
I
have
like
the-
for the record.
Oh,
I was using-
your characters are going to be wrong. One fucking moment. You have one internet crash and everything goes to shit. Oh, I tell you. Nix is here just like,
Whoa,
go.
my face is...
You spend all this time coming here and you go and fall asleep. You climb the mountain, go and see your master, you fall asleep. You're like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Man, how they're gonna react to see the imp laying over him?
They just hear someone complaining in the darkness in a language they don't understand. Nix talks to himself in Fiendish, like, slightly too much. But he, he's a beast of communication.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you delicious boys give me initiative rolls?
I can as soon as I find my character. There I am.
A large man.
Holy.
You
fuck,
could
that is
say
awesome.
he's giant.
You could say that,
Could
but who
say
would
that.
say that?
I personally probably wouldn't, but
That's honestly such an absurd thing to say.
Why
glad
would
when
you do that?
I'm just sad that I cannot see literally anything.
Go-
I know it's
tur-
because I'm not here.
just turn the stream on.
Yeah.
That's what everyone else does.
That's-
They're not in the battle map. They just watch it later. The Neblings get 20.
Uh,
Do. They don't have a dex mod, I'm pretty sure though.
mine
Also-
is +4.
I just enjoy saying Nebling. Nebling.
Nibbling, yeah, I like it.
They have a -1, so they get a 19, so they are slower than you.
I also must admit, I do like the concept of Neblings, the goblins that are actually a little bit more dangerous.
Well, they're dangerous in a different way. They're stronger, you know?
Yeah.
And they're also cruel, but they're, you know, goblins can be cruel too. They just usually get bullied more. So Tobias, you actually do get the first turn. This giant is being like pointed at where you are, but you know, it's you get the understanding that like listening to a Nebling is not something that the giant wants to do.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of just like.
This is going to be maybe really stupid, but I care not.
Oh god.
I'm going to reach into my little pouch that I have here, my bag, and produce a small pouch, maybe like the sizes of a baseball, that I purchased in Thundral that's filled with glitter.
I knew exactly what the fuck you were doing, and I'm so mad.
And I'm gonna take an arrow and shove it like through the top, and then try to shoot it directly into the fire giant's eyes and blind him.
Give me an attack roll.
Oh my god, this is the best thing ever.
It could be the best thing ever if it hits. It hits!
Okay.
Ugh.
11 piercing damage.
So not only do, you know, it's one of those things where like the arrow hits him in the head and it's like, it's a freaking giant. The arrow just scrapes at him. But the explosion of glitter into his eyes, he like straight up is like removing the like goggles to look for you. And it like gets right in the eyes. This puff cloud of glitter that kind of sparkles and glints in the mountain light. And he kind of staggers back, and you actually see like a water running from his eyes as you literally blind him with a bag of glitter.
Cool. Then my second attack.
You hear in giant, it's like, my eyes, the human took my eyes. Starts swinging.
Yeah. Reasonable. I'm kind of hoping he hits that siege weapon. But my second attack is going to just be this Nebling over here. I'm going to use my bonus action.
He's the one who saw you, by the way.
Yeah, he's going to get...
That little prick.
Oh, is he? Well,
Yeah.
perfect. I'm going to put my Slayer's Prey on him and shoot him with a longbow. We'll
Please try.
24
That's a hit.
again. Perfect.
Range is gonna range. Yeah, this Nebling actually like takes the arrow, and then you rolled extra damage, which it takes the arrow for a second before it like really hits in, and he's like still pointing, and at this point like all the other ones are like, there it is, and just kind of slumps over. Like there's this big metal beam that they're using to push and pull it to aim it, and it just kind of slumps over the beam.
Okay. In this gray area here, this is like the...
That is the climb. It is 40 feet up.
Okay. So
in
in order to
dark
climb
wood.
that, how much movement am I using to go 1 square there?
Depending on an athletics check, I suppose.
Right, okay. Well, I'll go 5,
It really would
10,
be.
15, and I'll try to climb up as best I can there. To get another couple squares, I guess. We'll see.
No. You literally just start scrabbling up, and it's that kind of slaty, shaly rock that's like very like small chunks. It just kind of falls away under you. It's much easier going down this mountain than going up.
That's my turn.
Next up is the Neblings. Oh yes, fast little guys. They see one of them, their kin, die, and the giant is like, my eyes, and one of the one next to the one that dies kind of squeaks. His eyes kind of widen, and it's like, I must tell the others, and we'll just start all fours running. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh,
It seems like he has to go past your way. Yeah. Because of sort of the way the rock is, this isn't cover. It's half cover. I'll give you a +2. So here this Nebbling is gonna. Let's check the range on javelins. Is this kosher? It's only disadvantage kosher. So we can still throw a javelin. What's your AC, Mr. Man?
Right now it's 17 because I don't have my other short sword out.
That's actually nearly a hit. It's a 16. So there's a Nebbling javelin, like, as you're trying to climb up, is like, right in the rock beside your head. Like, twang.
Perfect.
And next up is Virik. You're going to take your turn, then we're going to go on a break.
yep. Is it dim light or is it?
It is bright light. It's the middle of the day.
Okay.
I will not say anything.
I was gonna say, if going down this sort of cliff thing, can I slide down it like Tobias did and save?
Yes, I would say sliding down is like double speed.
Okay.
Because that's kind of just what I've been imagining the whole time, and that's cool.
Okay, so if I go from, say, here down, it'd be, so that was 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, okay. And I have
You just are good enough at athletics that you just get that for free.
Yeah.
Essentially.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I was already at. I have 2 more moves, so I'm just gonna move to here, and I'm gonna.
You're not on screen. Give me a sec.
Oops.
He's over there. He's
Actually,
behind
I'm gonna
you.
move down instead of up, so I can be within range. Because then I am going to use the throwing star at that Nebbling.
How many throwing stars do you have? I don't see you picking them back up.
I assumed if we didn't like leave a battle, I'd go and. Okay, I'd still have. I've only used.
That takes time, and usually you leave very quickly after battles.
Okay.
So.
I mean, a lot of the times that I've throwing starred in the feed, it was using a projectile or something else.
It's DnD. If you don't say something, there's no reason to assume that you're doing it.
Okay.
So, especially something as finicky
I
as
would
that.
still have some because I wouldn't have used all 10 by now.
Let's just say you have the however many you have. Just keep that in mind for the future.
Okay, yeah. In that case, throwing star at that dude. Oh, this would actually be at disadvantage, which I'm actually glad that it's at disadvantage because it's out of range.
Oh, you cheeky cheeker.
I can't have possibly planned that.
No, I know. Both hit.
Okay.
But that does not
both minimum
take
damage.
the Nebbling down. And it's one of the things where like they've got like shields on their arms, and it like runs all fours. It kind of like holds the shield out in front of it as it notices you're going to throw, and kind of like backs up, and both of them like hit it, but with a force to kind of like knock it back down, but it does not go all the way down.
Okay.
Anything else you can do?
No. Oh, actually. Can I... No, that's all I can really do now, because I can't get close enough to punch.
Well then, we'll have to wait to see what happens when the giant takes a turn after the break. We'll be back in a sec.